All right, we live.
88.5 WQOX. It is Brother John, your brother from another mother like no other. And I'm very, 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 very excited today because I got a request a few weeks ago. And you know, sometimes when you get requests, you know, okay, all right. This one had a little weight to it. I was like, they said, this lawyer, I'm like, okay, anything goes right. And they was like, yes, finally somebody gets it. Let's get the students more involved. Finally, somebody gets it. I know the busy man. Finally got it. And then they got the students. Did up one of the students yesterday. But I think they have a lot of come and say, come on in and fill in for the brother. Because I wanted to give you two different schools, different students. So
Yeah.
we do have middle college students in here today. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be quiet because the students have taken over the airwaves today. And I'm going to let Cameron and her partner, I call her Miss Ambitious, they're going to take it from here. I'm going to just shut up. And I'm going to let him do all the introductions and all that good stuff. Is that okay?
That is fine with me, Mr. Best.
All right. Take it away.
Hello, everybody. You're listening to 88.5 FM C19 TV, the voice of Memphis Shelby County Schools. I'm your weatherman with a plan and your co-host of the morning show, Cameron Kirkendall. Who I got with me?
It's Miss Ambitious, Atlina Morrell here.
And we are excited because we are two biased Bulldogs, brother.
I like that.
Never-
Bulldog tough, if you will.
Right.
Nevertheless, we're excited today because we have, like you said, Mr. Best, very influential person with us today. His name is Kevin G. Ritz. He will be able to introduce himself to us, but he is the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Tennessee. Welcome to the studio.
It's so great to be with both of you, Cameron, Atlina, Brother John.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you for having me.
I like how you said Brother John.
Brother John.
That's right.
I'm glad we're recording this.
That's right.
Well, we're glad to have you here. We know we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to
Sure.
be here with us. And as Mr. Best said, we appreciate you requesting students.
Right.
Because me and Lena have been afforded so many opportunities by the district. So we just want to say thank you.
That's
for your
great
time.
to be
Thank you
here.
for your
Yeah,
time.
of course.
Absolutely. So if y'all ready, we can get to these
Let's go.
questions.
Let's go.
Get into it.
And so, of course, this is an education station. Of course, we're listening. We have so many different listeners from all across the city, but
Mhm.
specifically educators, specifically students from across our district. So, what is the role of a federal prosecutor? What is your everyday role, and how does it tie into Memphis, Tennessee?
Sure. Well, I am the United States Attorney for Memphis and 21 other counties of West Tennessee. But I tell you, I define myself, as a Tennessean and a Memphian, right? Because I grew up in this city. I was just sharing with you guys how I went to Memphis City Schools is what it
City
was
School.
at the time. Now it's Memphis Shelby County Schools, so it's just a treat to be with you all as an alumnus of Ridgeway Elementary and White Station Junior and High School. But as United States Attorney, I'm the Chief Federal Law Enforcement Officer here in Memphis.
Can you say that one more time?
Chief Federal Law Enforcement
All right, y'all,
Officer.
We good. We got to be
So,
good today.
be on your best behavior. But
Yes,
but we uphold the rule of law, we protect civil rights, and we keep people safe. That's what we do. So we got a team of really dedicated public servants in my office. It's such an honor to lead the office. I've been in the office almost 2 decades, been in charge about a year and a half. But we do those things, and we work hard every day to keep people safe and protect civil rights and uphold the rule of law. One of the ways that we go about that is upholding federal criminal law. And so we prosecute people who violate federal criminal laws. And I can talk more about that, but that can be anything from people engaged in drug trafficking, people engaged in gun violence or violent crime, people engaged in economic or fraud types of crimes, people violating civil rights or national security statutes. So it's a lot. We got a lot on our plate, but we work with a lot of other people and agencies, I should say, in Memphis and Shelby County to try to keep people safe.
Gotcha. Understandable.
So the pursuit of federal U.S. Attorney, what drove you to that career?
Yeah, look, public service was in my blood. My mom, I should also say, was a school teacher in the public school system here in Memphis, Hillcrest and Craigmont. And so,
Doing a roll call
look,
today.
that's right. That's right. Let's get it on the roll call. And public, my father worked for the city here in Memphis, and public service is in my blood. And I knew when I went away for college and law school, I wanted to move back to try to make my home a better place here in West Tennessee. And so I've dedicated my legal career. The only client I've ever had is the United States of America. That's the only client I've had as a lawyer. So 20 years ago, I graduated from law school, moved back to clerk for a judge, and then immediately started in this office that I now have the privilege of leading.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Outstanding. Wow. And I will say, as we continue to talk about Memphis, the city, of course, you were from, have so many connections to. How have you seen it evolve over time? Especially when it comes to crime and the violence that we're seeing. How have you seen it evolve?
That's a really good question, Cameron. In some ways, we deal with some of the same criminal challenges that we were dealing with when I started 19 years ago in this office. We've seen it evolve as well, though, and I'll give you a couple of examples. First, in the drug dealing area. So I started as a drug prosecutor. I could tell you when I started, we did a lot of cocaine cases. Methamphetamine was coming along at that time. Right now, we still see some of those, unfortunately, some of those cases, but we see a lot of the fentanyl, and this is a problem, y'all. I want people, every time I talk, every time I talk to anybody in this community, I want them to hear the message that fentanyl is a threat, that one pill can kill, and I mean that, one pill.
Like
because
literally,
one pill, just a tiny amount of fentanyl that fits on the top of a pencil and a tip of a pencil can be deadly.
Are you serious?
No, I'm serious. The tip, the very tip.
Tip of a pencil.
Yeah. And what people don't understand is they think maybe they're taking another drug. Oh, this isn't going to be that bad of a. And I tell you what, it can be laced with fentanyl, and people die from this all the time, and it's a huge threat. That's just an example of how things change, sometimes not for the better. I can tell you we're dealing with that threat. Another example of maybe an emerging threat are these switches, and I hope that there aren't too many people that are listening that know what a switch is, but these are these old devices that you drop into a gun, and it makes it a fully automatic machine gun. They call them a switch. Right. Let me tell y'all, that's really dangerous too, and it's also really illegal. Machine guns are illegal under federal law. We're prosecuting those cases, and so
So if you're caught with one,
that's right.
It can doing Fed time.
You are doing Fed time, and we're looking at those cases and trying to adopt them for federal prosecution because I'm really worried about that emerging threat as well. So look. I'm talking to two really bright young people that are, staying away from these kinds of problems. But you asked me, I mean, just the challenges that we are seeing, and it's some serious challenges for sure.
So being able to see how Memphis evolves and all the crime that we know we face. So how did that shape your experience, like growing in your career, and also being a product of public schools in Memphis? How did that shape your career as well?
Look, I mean, growing up in public schools here was everything about making me the kind of person I am today, in a lot of different ways. Number one, being a part of a diverse community and learning from people who were different than me and had different backgrounds. That's something that shaped who I was and my sense of equality and fairness under the law. And I'll give you a practical example. Had a couple of teachers a lot of really good teachers, but a couple of teachers that really taught me how to write. And I can tell you, writing skills have really come in handy in my career when I went
But at the time, though.
No, at the time, it's like, man, I got to learn how to write an essay, and man, this seems like a lot.
Listen, young people.
Yeah, right. But I can tell you bear down on that type of skill and develop that writing capability. And man, will it serve you well, not just in college, serve me well in law school, serve me well as an appellate lawyer down the road. And so that's a great example of lessons that I learned that I've, carried on. Exactly.
May I jump in? You said some of your teachers. Do you remember some of your teachers? Is it possible to shout out a couple of your teachers?
I would love to.
Because since this is education station,
would
our
love
teachers love to hear their names.
Mrs. LaFawn graduated. Retired a couple years ago. She was a longtime Latin teacher at White Station, long time, and she was terrific. Miss Irvin was my AP American history teacher, also no longer there. I got a little seasoning on me. I got a little seasoning on me, but man, was she in an American history class? She was the one who really taught me how to write an essay.
Really?
You know, say you got to sit down this AP test, and you're gonna have to write these essays.
So it wasn't your English teacher, it was your.
It was actually my history teacher. I had great English teachers too, but
no
yeah.
shade to the English.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Miss Irvin, man, she drilled it into us, and I'm eternally thankful for that.
That's wonderful.
So.
Sorry, I just
No.
you're
Glad you asked.
Way to get the teacher in there, so I just
You're fine. Because even as he talks about that, what AP class do you have this year?
I'm taking AP Art, but last year
Awesome.
I took AP World, which was rough.
Sure.
But
You had to write some essays. Right.
And I took AP Environmental Science last year, and now I'm taking AP Biology. But even with those,
all these AP classes y'all take,
It helps.
it helps
too.
you know what?
I skipped AP biology. That was that's impressive.
Don't get you right.
Whatever school is at 750 Parkway, but
Impressive.
it like you said, those writing skills help because although it's science for me, even art for her, and world history, there are still components of the AP test where we have to sit there and write.
Right.
Even AP Art, like you have to write as well.
I'm sure.
Essays.
Sure.
If I'm not mistaken, last year, of course, you have your multiple choice segment, and then there's these 3 open response, and you train for it all year. I believe it's between 30 or 40% of the weighting of the test itself,
right? Just
on writing.
That's right.
So what he said about writing, even though we went to school years ago, it still holds true. And I'm not saying
Absolutely.
19 years ago, whatever you went to school,
right?
But it still holds true today, ladies and gentlemen. Writing is very important.
There you go.
What he said.
That's right. That's right.
And so as we continue to talk about young people, continue to talk about education, my question really would be, where do you think the education system falls in your role in like preventing crime and juvenile crime, especially what we've seen in Memphis? Where's the role of our education system, specifically Memphis Shelby County schools, in helping to prevent, educate? There you go.
No, great question, Cameron. And I think it's so crucial that kids stay in school, go to school, take it seriously. And I think some of the issues that we've seen can be attributed to kids not doing that, right, and not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And we got this great communications program that you guys are a part of, and you're taking these terrific classes and taking it really seriously. And I just couldn't I couldn't encourage that more. I do part of the work that I do along with other public leaders in the public safety arena in Memphis is speak to what we would say at-risk youth. And honestly, these are young people who have made a bad decision or 2 or 3, and maybe they got into juvenile court and they had a gun and they weren't supposed to, obviously. And we go and talk to them and try to give them a chance, right? Say, hey, look, we're giving you some resources. We're going to make sure you get reconnected back to your school situation. And we really want you to take advantage of those resources and make better decisions. Try to stay away from the folks that are up to no good and make better decisions, because it's really, I think, important to stay on the right pathway, starting at folks that are your age, juniors, seniors in high school. You don't want to end up down the road, kind of in and out of that system, end up in federal court down the road. And the cases that we do, I can tell you, they're serious cases with serious penalties. And everything I can do to take advantage of opportunities to talk to people like I'm doing right now, to intervene and prevent folks from being involved in this system in the first place, I try to take advantage of that. So just encourage you to keep on the right path and make some good decisions along the way.
Can you look in the camera and say that one more time? That last part.
Just stay on the right path, make good decisions. And if you got folks that you know are kind of up to foolishness, kind of go a different way is all I got to say.
I just wanted to make sure.
Go a different way.
When you say Fed time, it's different. It's
like
it's a different way.
Day for day. Is
that's right. Day for day.
10 years.
No parole.
No parole.
That's right. Usually far away from Memphis, and it's no joke.
It's no joke.
And we take our cases really seriously, and we don't apologize for the work we do, because justice is important, and we have to make sure we're protecting victims' interests. But it's it's some serious business.
So what would you say to our listeners, maybe it's adults or even kids that may be dancing on that line of, playing in the crime or drugs or guns, that kind of thing? So what would you say to them to get out of that environment and, into something positive?
whatever you can find, and if it's just making associations with people who are are going to challenge you and in a good way, right, and challenge you to do better, whether it's in school or out in your community, your place of worship, or some other community organization that you can get involved with. I just couldn't encourage that more. I guess I was lucky. I had parents that really looked out for me along the way. I know sometimes that can be a challenge, but looking for someone in your life that can be a mentor, and teachers can obviously play that role. Other people at school, but I just really think that that's so important to find someone who you can model some good behavior after, right? So that's what I would say. Good question.
And I would really say, where is your role at when it comes to finding more community role models, finding more community programs, finding more, because I believe a lot of times, sometimes in certain cases, some students just haven't had the opportunity.
Right.
I believe that too, and I don't have the answer. I'm not, I have a portfolio that's not as broad as some of the other public leaders here in Memphis, the mayor or elected leaders. I work with those folks, and like I say, I try to plug into any sort of intervention and prevention efforts that they've got going on. The city of Memphis has a really good program where they try to step in when they start seeing a cycle of violence. So people who are getting involved in violent acts against somebody, and then of course you got somebody interested in retaliating. And we're really trying to head those things off and just, again, try to make some better decisions, try to provide some resources along the way to these people and plug them into support systems that make sense. Young people, and I can tell you we're working on that with adults too. So that's what I would suggest.
We good?
He done answered.
He laid it all out there.
He's used to answering questions, right?
I am.
For words a lot. We not.
For sure, yeah.
But that's the good thing, and that's what you find out in this business when you start asking people questions and they answer them. Because sometimes some people like to give the yes or no answers, but he gave answers where he went into detail, right?
Absolutely.
So you got to be prepared. But think, he sits in front of judges and he has to explain, and when they ask him a question, he can't sit and just say, okay, now I give you an answer. He's used, because sometimes the more you talk may prevent somebody from, going to jail or, getting off. So I like how he said the piece about writing too, because the way you write something up may determine whether somebody gets 10 years or 15 years. Is that true?
100%. Yeah. No, a lot of what we do as lawyers, you'll watch a lawyer TV show or movie, and there's some truth to that. Frankly, we as criminal prosecutors are about as close to some of that dramatic courtroom stuff as you can get. But also we spend a lot of time just writing, and you're right. We're trying to be persuasive in what we write to a judge to convey our position and to do justice. But you guys got, you're right. These guys got tough questions, just like I get from the judges.
Right.
So, it's like, it's,
Let me ask you one more, because this the one for me. Like, we see when lawyers win cases, sometimes some celebrate, but I've seen some like, okay, that's just one. We have many more. What has been your biggest case, if you can talk about that, your biggest case that you felt very good about?
That's a great question. We have so much good work going on right now and so many good cases going on. I'll highlight just one example, and just a recent one where we had, because we're talking about young people making sometimes not so good decisions. And we had some young people, I think they're 18 and 19, 3 individuals here in Memphis who did several carjackings. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm tired of these carjackings. It's one of,
I had
me too.
Right.
You know what's crazy? Because I had a feeling you were going to say something about a car.
And I tell you, it's just the kind of crime that I think tears at our social fabric a little bit. You can't go to the grocery, can't go get gas because you're looking over your shoulder. And it's happening in a lot of different neighborhoods, not just one or two neighborhoods. And we had these kids, some of their kids, y'all, and they did it over and over. They had a gun, guns, plural. and they got sentences of like 30, 35 years, and that's what the law required in those cases. That's what the
No
federal
parole.
law. That's no parole. And
Wow.
I'm, again, it's not it's just the kind of challenges that we're seeing and the kind of penalties that can come for this really serious, and I call it really serious behavior. So, and I want to say they shot at the law enforcement officers that were chasing them.
And
And
that,
so,
that adds to
absolutely. Yeah. Right. So, it's just, that's the kind of stuff we don't tolerate. And so,
But we used to say growing up as a kid, you say you do the crime. You do
that's
the
right.
time.
That's
It's
right.
cliche-ish.
That's right.
But listening to you today, it's like, yeah, you gonna do that time.
Yeah.
And we don't feel bad about giving it to you.
No.
So, in your field, I'm sure it gets really rough, like seeing all these cases with young people, like people of all ages, and I'm sure the cases don't get better as time goes on. So, what keeps you going? How do you stay positive? Seeing all this.
Wow. Great question
Mm.
again. I do love this city. I love West Tennessee. And I think that just my interest in serving this community and serving this public, I have an awesome team of 45 lawyers and support staff on top of that just work so hard. And so I see them working so hard, and it just keeps me going, trying to do justice in this community, right? And to bring justice to Memphis, Shelby County, and West Tennessee.
And our principal, she always talks to me in Atlanta. She gives us so many lectures.
Mm-hmm.
And so
that's good.
That's a good thing.
You got one of these mentors. That's good. That's
and
good.
of those,
Going.
she does. And of
Keeps us on
those,
our toes.
and of those many, one she always tells us to look at the bigger picture.
Yep.
And so hearing you talk about that and how tired and frustrated you are, that even has impacts for me. Nobody's ever done it, but when I started driving, Dad
Mm-hmm.
graciously was teaching me how to drive,
Mm-hmm.
but Mom didn't want to. Mom said not because I don't believe you can't drive,
Mm-hmm.
more so to other people.
Right.
Then also when you look at the statistic, almost 16,000 cars were stolen last year.
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
Any one of us could be a part of that number.
I'm a part of the number. They stole
Yeah.
it from my driveway.
Are
Sure.
you serious?
Sure. Sure.
From your
Yes.
driveway?
From my driveway, yes.
Oh my
It
goodness.
happened.
It's
And see, just like that, I know somebody
of course,
that's
yeah.
a part of that number.
Everyone knows something.
Everyone
Everybody knows
does.
somebody.
Right. That's
And
right.
And so I think if we can talk about that, recognizing the bigger picture, not only
Right.
for students of Memphis Shelby County, but
mm-hmm.
the bigger picture even for adults, because these things that one or two do, that cases you prosecute, impacts the entire city.
For sure. And as much, you're absolutely right. We all know somebody that's been a victim of whether sometimes serious crime, sometimes a little less serious, but it's easy to let that feed into a negative narrative. And I try to, I will say this. I love doing opportunities like this because, speaking to just terrific, sharp young people who are going to be the future of this city,
Come on. That's
right? And
Right.
like the people involved here at this station, you guys are doing a really positive thing for this community. So that keeps me going too. Back to your question at Lena about that. So there are a lot of really good people working really hard in the right direction in this city. Law enforcement officers for real, public officials, community groups, and nonprofits. A lot of people trying to make this a better place, and so everyone can help. Everyone can help.
All right.
About rewriting the narrative.
Right.
That's right. Rewriting. I like that. Yeah.
I just got a text from the White Station high school principal.
Okay.
Shout out to Carrie Holland. And she was saying, it would be nice if one day he can come back to the school. I would like to invite him to the
Please
school.
let her know. I'd love to be invited.
All right.
If you're out there.
So in closing, because I told him, I said 15 to 20 minutes tops. So we about 4 minutes over. So please, thank you. For
Absolutely.
that.
Thank
But
you.
The last question is, what would you say to all the students or the younger Ritzes that's around this whole community that's thinking about, I might want to be a lawyer one day,
Mhm.
or want to be and go down any field. But what would you say to your younger self?
Mhm.
If you talk to yourself that was in 10th, 11th, 12th grade, what would you say?
Follow your instincts. And let me give you an example. I moved away to go to college and law school. I had an awesome opportunity. I bet you're going to have a great opportunity, Cameron, maybe go somewhere else, and you at Lena. But I tell you what, my instinct was telling me after I graduated from law school, I had a job offer at a big firm in Washington, D.C. And somebody was telling me, man, why don't you move back home? You love being home. You love my parents still here. They're still here today in Memphis. And move back home, try to get involved in public service and make this place a better place. And so I, really hope that the sharp young people that you're training here, Brother John, and others in this program will seek opportunity. If you can go and get a great education, and that means you go somewhere else, terrific. That's awesome. But, think about, maybe coming home and serving your community down the road. If we can get you back, that'd be awesome.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank
students, excellent job. Excellent
Absolutely.
job. We threw you in the fire and
Yeah.
y'all survived.
Absolutely.
This is what it's about. Preparing future broadcasters today. Right? We didn't have, and I told Mr. Ritz, I said, we didn't practice. We had a conversation, but when he said he wanted students, I wanted him to get 100% students without my involvement. Okay? So y'all did a great job, and thank you for being real as you can be, because the people that's watching and the listeners that's listening, I think they heard something. And you're not playing. Even though this is an educational setup, the work that he does, ladies and gentlemen, he's putting people away. And you said your only client is who?
The United States of America.
And they don't lose too many cases, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying. So you might want to think twice. You do the crime, you are going to do the time. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. If y'all need anything, I may need to get some PSAs. If there's a way that we can get some PSAs.
We got a couple of those.
Or something. We would love to put them in rotation.
Sure.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Shout out to our young people for doing a great job today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is something that you can be a part of too. If you have some students that's interested and want to do broadcasting, y'all reach out and let's create some more. Let's duplicate Alina and Cameron here at Memphis Shelby County Schools. With that being said, thank you, Kavan J. Thank you, Andrea, in there, making sure everything goes well on the stream. We are 88.5 FM.